I'm Suzanne Sibylla. I'm the owner of Sibylla and Associates, which is the premier leadership and employee development company. Overcome obstacles, reframe your reality, love life, and have growth goals. Change and shift your energy. Pivot. Welcome, everyone. I'm Suzanne Sibylla, your host of Pivot Now, where we bring on interesting, exciting, and dynamic guests who will share with us their tips, tricks, and life and business hacks to help you pivot in your life. I am so excited to bring this guest on our show. You're going to love her. I just know it. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a shamanic healer and business intuitive who helps businesses scale over 6 figures and beyond. How cool is that? She is also helps clients to unlock their limiting beliefs in one healing session that would take decades worth of therapy. I mean, that is so amazing. I got to hear about this, right? We got to hear about this. She is also the top 10% podcast host of her show called You Unlimited. Welcome to our show, Christina Deering. There she is. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Got to give you fires and flames.
I love it.
All in this here.
I love it.
To our show, Christina. Love having you here.
Thank you.
You are absolutely amazing. I mean, to do this in one session, that is absolutely amazing. You got to tell us how you go about doing that. We're not giving you secrets, but it's just so absolutely amazing.
I love it. I know. So it's so much fun because when I think about talk therapy, I've done talk therapy, and sometimes it keeps us in the energy of the thing we want to break through because we're talking about it. We're sending energy to it. We think about the law of manifestation and the law of attraction. It's like we're sending energy to that thing versus let's move the energy. And so that's how we can break through things so quickly, is when we start to think about the fact that what we're wanting to break through is just energy. And we have to figure out where that energy is living. So I think that's a big part of it. And so what I do is I just start to receive intuitively, where is that energy coming from? Is it somewhere that you're consciously aware of? Is it somewhere where you're unconsciously aware of? And wherever it's living in your mind, body, and spirit, we uproot it, release it. And then I swear by the end of sessions, people are like, I don't even resonate with that anymore. Like, what just happened? I'm like,
that is amazing.
The power of moving energy. I mean, there's just nothing like it.
That is absolutely amazing because I have a background as a therapist. I don't know if you know, but as a marriage family therapist. And that was one thing that I didn't like as a therapist because it's like I get clients coming in with a talk therapy and I'm like, wait, they're not moving beyond it. And I'm so solution oriented in terms of the kinds of therapy I do. I'm very goal oriented and like, let's move past the trauma. So to hear that clients could go past that trauma in one session is absolutely amazing. Yeah. I mean, what kinds of tools or techniques do you actually use?
Yeah. So, and to your point, and I love that you were solution oriented as a therapist as well, because I think there's different therapists and everyone has their own magic and their own secret sauce that they bring into the space. But I was just recognizing, I wanted more of a solution. I wanted to uproot with myself. And then I was like, oh, let's do this with my clients. So the tools that I use are, one of my favorite tools to use are the Akashic records. So that's basically a record of your entire soul's existence. So it helps me uncover and share with the client that I'm with where the energy itself is living. So it's just really powerful. The Akashic records guides just give me the information. I share it with the client, and there's almost always some sort of a somatic release when I share it, because it's almost like the body knows even when we don't consciously know it, if that makes sense.
Yes. It's like the book, The Body Keeps the Score.
It's exactly like that. Yes. So they'll start, like, tears will start moving involuntarily, or they'll be like, oh, I just feel really activated in my chest. Perfect. That's where the energy is living. Let's start to move it.
So tell us about your pivot in your life or business.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, I would say one of my biggest pivots was sorority girl turned shaman. So there's a big one right there.
That's a big pivot.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of like blew me out of the water too, where I was like, what is happening? But a big part of that was I was in marketing for a very long time. I was in marketing for 15 years. I mean, obviously I went to college sorority and then went into marketing, which is what I studied in college. I was there for 15 years and I kept being like, there's got to be something more. Like, I just know that there's got to be something more to this life. And I had a massive spiritual awakening in 2019 that kind of just like suddenly had me realize, well, wait, life doesn't have to be what I'm thinking it needs to be. Wait, I can actually make money doing what I love. Oh my goodness. And I'm happy to kind of go into that spiritual awakening if you think your audience is open to some of the woo-woo stuff. But it was pretty wild. It just kind of woke me up to being like, I don't have to wait, I can make money doing what I love. I don't have to just do something and make money or do something I love and not make money. I think that was the programming I received. Because when I was younger, I loved singing and it was like, you're going to be a starving actor or you can get like a 9 to 5 and be safe. And so it was like, I had this distinction that felt like it had to be one or the other. And then it's like, wait, it can be both. Like, that's pretty wild. So that was definitely a huge pivot.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that was only what, 5 years ago that you made
Yeah.
that pivot? And
Uh-huh.
right before the pandemic as
I
well,
know.
right?
Of course. Wild. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. So, I mean, how did you go about doing that in terms of that spiritual revolution or
Yeah.
transformation?
Yeah. So, what was really funny is I realized in 2019, I'm like, I don't know myself. I've been checking everyone else's boxes
Mm,
and I've made it to the top in marketing. I'm making good money. I've got the title, but I'm so unfulfilled. I mean, I'm living for the weekends and even the weekends, I don't feel totally fulfilled. So it was like I had checked all the boxes and I just didn't know myself because I'm like, this is supposed to be it? Why is this not it? And
hmm
so I did something very like tactical. I was like, what if I took a quiz on ideal jobs for me? Just out of curiosity, because if it's not feeling like it's this, what could it be? And so I took this quiz and it was like very in depth. It was like hundreds of questions. And at the end, it gave me like 10 job titles. And it was like healer, actress, singer, minister, motivational speaker, life coach, therapist, counselor. And I'm like, those light me up. Those have me lean in. But some of them felt scarier than others. And so I was like, what if I was a life coach? And then I hired a life coach. And I'm like, what would it be to work with one? And then I, just kind of like followed the breadcrumbs. I think that's a big thing. It's like, we want to know what our purpose is now. We want to do it now. We want everything to happen now. And sometimes we have to just follow the breadcrumbs because it's bringing us to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. Like, if I had gone from sorority girl to a shaman without all the breadcrumbs in between, that would have been way too jarring. But I had to have the breadcrumbs in between, like the life coaching and everything else that brought me to, well, wait, there's other modalities I want to bring into the space. Or wait, what's Reiki? What's this? What's that? So that was pretty powerful.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I love that you talked about that, the breadcrumbs, because that is
Yes.
so true, right? A lot of times
Yeah.
we don't know what the future holds or
Mhm.
why we're going through certain challenges or obstacles in our path or in a certain path until we look back on it.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's for you as well, right? You can kind of see the
absolutely.
dots now, like
Yes.
connecting and like, okay, now I understand why I went through that or
Yes.
what that was all about.
Oh yeah, especially the why did I go through that to get to the other
Mm-hmm.
side? You're like, oh wow. And then, there's also that aspect of like really tuning into your intuition so you know how to kind of act on the breadcrumb too. Because I think sometimes we'll get the intuitive hit, but we're like, was that real? Was that not? So that's a big part of what I teach as well is like how to really tune into your intuition and your body so you know when to actually follow the green lights.
That is so cool. And because you're
Mhm.
saying you're a shamanic healer, I'm just wondering, how does that resonate with businesses and entrepreneurs? I mean, because just
Yes.
hearing that, I'm kind of like, ooh, that's kind of, the woo woo
Yes.
stuff. And
Yes.
how do they relate to that?
Yeah. So one of my biggest piece of business advice is you have to heal what's in the way of what you want. We could have the
Mm,
perfect business strategy and copy and paste exactly what our business coach is doing or exactly what someone else is doing. They could make 7 figures doing it. And we're like, why is no one signing up? Why am I making $300 doing this? Like, this was actually something that happened to me where I was like following the exact strategy that my business coach was doing. And I was copying and pasting it. And I'm like, it's not working for me. And I realized it's because I had energetic blocks around success. I was scared to
mm,
be successful at that moment in time. What
mhm.
if I'm more seen? What does that mean? I'm more vulnerable. All these stories were kind of keeping me at arm's distance for clients to actually walk in the door. And so the second I started healing, like, well, what's the story I'm telling myself? And oh, by the way, is this business strategy even mine? That's where things started to really take off. Like that's where that quantum leap started to happen, because I always tell clients it's kind of like taking someone's business strategy, and it's like, let's say they're making 7 figures and they're taking all their calls at night because they're a night owl. And so you're like, well, cool. That's how we make 7 figures. I'm going to take all my calls at night. And you're a morning person, right? And you're like, why am I so tired? I don't want to show up for my business. This feels heavy. I have a call at 9 p.m. tonight. Like, oh, this is how it works. And it's like, well, that's how it works for them, but it doesn't have to be how it works for you. And so that's the part of the tap into your intuition, build your business in alignment with your soul, and heal all the stories that are in the way of your success and the fear of failure and all the other things. Like, am I enough? Am I worthy? Am I all of these things? Healing what's in the way is one of the most important pieces of business advice I could give to anyone.
I love that. That is so, that's just an amazing tip that you just gave right here, right now. Yeah, I think it's so true. We got to heal within ourselves before we can actually provide that business, a service to others.
Yes.
Exactly. So key. That gets a fire. That gets a fire. I love that. Fire and hearts,
I love it.
I love it, Christina. So cool. So how did you overcome obstacles in your path?
Yeah, I think so. A big part of the process that I always teach is really connecting to like future timelines. Like, what do I want? What do I see? People talk about it as visualization. What do I want? So it's kind of like, so we think about what we want, and then we're like, ooh, I'm so excited about that. And then we drop back into like the reality, and we're like, wait, all the limiting beliefs start coming up. Like we hit the self-imposed box that we're in. And then so often people are like, well, other people can have that, but I can't. So I'm going to unpack my bags inside of the box, because what we want is outside of the box, or we would have it. Right? So we see the vision, we come back into the box, we hit the wall, and then we're like, oh, never mind, it's not for me. This is number one. This is where we have to start breaking down the wall versus unpacking the bags there. And so that was some of the biggest things that I was able to kind of break through some of those challenges were, and this happens at every level of business, right? When I first started my business, when I made 6 figures, when I was scaling to multiple 6 figures, it's like every level of that required me to do something different and required me to step outside of my comfort zone. So a really key part of that was normalizing success in my body. So that's number one. I want to feel safe having that thing that I'm visualizing. So I actually started to create my own modality. Well, I actually took tapping, EFT tapping, and I kind of flipped it on its head. And I started saying, like, what if I started visualizing what I wanted? And then I started to do the tapping, which made me feel calm in my body, which then normalized the success. So then when it happens, it feels more like deja vu than it does unattainable or fear-based, or I'm too scared to take the next step. It's more like, actually, I feel calm about this, feel excited, feel a little nervous, but I feel a lot more neutral about going after that thing. Because I think number one is, if we feel way too scared to go after it, we will procrastinate. We will do everything else on our to-do list besides the thing that we know is going to take us to the next level. So a big thing is like normalize success in your body, really connect to your nervous system, see what it's telling you. Don't make it wrong. Be in relationship with it, and calm your body as you're going after what you want. Because we have to feel calm to take a step forward, or it doesn't feel safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so true. Yeah, it makes total sense. Can you tell our audience what EFT is? Because I don't think a lot of our audience knows what that means and what that is all about.
Yeah. So EFT is emotional freedom technique, also called tapping. You could look it up on YouTube and kind of see how someone will walk you through it. It's really powerful. And so essentially what you're doing is you're tapping on the different energy meridians on your body, and it's bringing a calming sensation into your body. So you'll be tapping on places like your eyebrow, right? Or under the eye, different spots on the body. And what it's doing is it's telling your body it's safe. It's telling your body to calm. It's starting to really allow your body to come into a state of relaxation by just tapping on these energy meridian points. And so what you're doing is, if you're visualizing the success of that while you're tapping, it tells your body it's safe to go after that. It tells your body it's already happening right now. It's safe to do that thing. So when I find that I couple the two, it's so powerful.
I love that you
Yeah.
couple the two because I hadn't heard of that before. It sounds,
Yeah.
I mean, because I do EFT, I do
Uh-huh.
that with a lot of my clients,
Yes.
more as a calming technique to reduce
Yes.
their level of anxiety and to
Yes.
push past any fears.
Hmm.
To do that with being in the future moment, if you will, and what you want and to visualize that, that sounds like an amazing technique to use. I mean,
Yes.
EFT with the visualization. Wow. Very powerful. Very
It
powerful.
works. Yeah, I
Yeah.
used it the first wedding I ordained. I was like, yes. And then right before the wedding, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I screw this up? This is the most important day, the stories. And then I
Hmm.
visualized it EFT tapping, and then it all was like, oh, it felt like deja vu. She's walking down the aisle. There's things going wrong left and right, but my body felt calm. And I think other people were feeding off of that energy. Like at some point, we're like, where's the groom? And then it's like, it's okay. We're all calm. And I think they were kind of feeding off of my energy because I brought the calm into the space before, during, and after.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're an ordained minister as well? Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yeah. I
Super
know.
talented.
Yeah, well, it was so funny because one of my clients asked me to ordain her wedding, and I just said yes. And then I was like, oh yeah, like now I get to get ordained, and now I get, and so it was like I knew in my body it was a full body yes, and then I
Uh-huh.
took action on what it took to actually do the thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing. You're amazing, Christina. That's absolutely amazing. So
thank you.
part of this
So are you?
part of the
Thank you.
program, we call it 3, 2, 1, go. And so we'd like to hear from you. Give us three
Mhm.
tips or three, yeah, 3 tips, 2 techniques, and 1 strategy to move
Mhm.
us forward, to actually, take us in that momentous forward action. Three, two,
Yes.
one, go.
Okay, so let's go. I love
Yeah,
it.
let's
So
go. Let's go.
yes. So when I think about the 3 tips, I think something that's really powerful is when we start to think about money as energy. So the reason I bring that up is because I think a lot of times there's a lot of energy, like fear-based energy around money, and I think it really stifles our ability to bring in success. And so what I mean by that when I think about wealth energetics is this idea of how often do we sign up for a free thing and then maybe go to it, maybe not. But then we sign up for a $10,000 in-person event and we're like, I'm there, I'm networking, I am in it.
Mm,
Like the difference between how much energy I put into both things, we can feel that. I put $10,000 worth of energy into the space versus I put my email into the space. Totally different feelings,
mm-hmm.
right? And so when you think about that, it allows let's say entrepreneurs, when we price accordingly, it allows your consumer to say, I'm choosing to expand into this space. So it's meant to be a little bit stretchy for them energetically, right? Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Hmm.
Okay, beautiful. So it's actually a huge service for the clients to say, like, I want to stretch into this space. It's going to help me expand. But also for the person, let's say, who's pricing, price according to your own energy as well. So if
Mm,
I'm, let's say, the entrepreneur that's holding a container, so often I hear people say, I'm gifted. I'm not allowed to charge this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, now you're in corporate, you're a mom, you're doing the center splits here. You're not serving to the best of your ability because you don't have the energy to do it. So
mm.
price according to how you can step in with both feet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Bringing that energy in and where you're at that present moment.
Yes. So it's when we start thinking about it from like the entrepreneur perspective or the business perspective and the consumer, when we price energetically, that is going to be one of the most supportive things that we can do. So that would be tip number 1. Start to think about money as energy. This could be a full-blown masterclass and beyond, but just starting to plant seeds around that money is energy. Let's start to think about what are our energetic stories around it, right?
Yeah, I love that too
So
because
the other one would be
yeah,
keep
I
going.
love that too
Yes,
about money
please.
is energy because a lot of
Yeah.
times too, especially when you're starting out, a lot of times entrepreneurs may say, "Oh, I'm just going to cost it, or charge a minimal amount," and they kind of
Mm-hmm.
make their skills minimize. They minimize their
Mm-hmm.
skills rather than saying, okay, I'm
Absolutely.
going to charge this amount. Like you're saying, if you charge 10,000, then people are more invested in it. They're saying, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I pay 10,000. I better get my money's worth versus, okay, I didn't pay anything for it,
Yes,
or even I paid less for it. So maybe it's less than. I mean, it's a kind of a psychological thing as well that people think, the
it
consumer
is.
thinks, oh, okay, I didn't pay
Mm-hmm.
as much. So maybe they're not that good and I'm not going to get as much
Yeah,
versus, I paid a lot
right.
for this program or service. I better
Mhm.
get what I want from it because they paid a lot and they're more invested in
Yes.
it. It's amazing how that works.
Absolutely. It is. It allows the person to fully lean in, and it allows the person that's holding the container or the entrepreneur to step in with both feet, because now they have the energy to serve versus I have to do corporate. I'm a mom. I'm a this, I'm a that. I have no energy to serve. I have no time to create and prepare. So when we price accordingly, it allows us to really show up and serve. Like I know that people really want to.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
great.
So
So
that
your
would be
other
tip number
tips.
one. Yeah, tip number one. Yes. And then tip number two, build your business in alignment with your soul. Like we talked about
Mm,
this before, this idea of don't take your clients at night if you're not a night owl, right? Like we talked about that idea before. The more that you can build it in alignment with what your body is telling you, like, and what I like to say, and this is kind of one of the strategies that I use, is what is your body, how does your body feel about the next thing that you're going to do? Right. So like when we think about, I want to launch the mastermind, does that feel expansive or does that feel constricting in your body? Because your
mm.
body has like a lean in, or it's going to be like, oh God, it feels heavy. Like, I don't want to do that thing. I don't want to show up. Right. We want to be able to, we want to show up for our business. We want to also build it so that we have the vitality to scale it. Right. And so we need to start building it in alignment with who we are versus who our coaches or who our mentors are. So I think the best coaches, the best mentors are going to say, what do you want? What feels good
Mm.
in your body? Here's an idea of how to do it. But also, what would have you really want to show up for this? Because people, again, buy based on energy. And if you're energetically in alignment with the thing you're selling, you'll show up for it and people want to lean into that even more.
So true. So true. And you'll be very authentic. Very
Yes,
authentic. Uh-huh.
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I love it. And then that third tip, heal what's in the way of what you want. We talked about that earlier too.
Mm.
That's my number one piece of business advice. You could have everything perfect, but if you have something blocking your success, or you've got a story that says, who am I to? I'm not worthy of, we're blocking the money from coming in. We're blocking the clients from being able to taste our medicine, right? Of like really allowing ourselves to serve, right? But we can't do that if we're kind of closing the door. It's like a little bit open, but we're scared, and then we close it again. So it's about really heal what's in the way so that you can open up and receive, and so that your clients can find you. Because if we're like, oh, I don't want anyone to buy this, actually, no one's really going to bite, because that's an energetic, it's a feeling, right? And
Mhm.
so just know that behind every post that you do, behind everything that you're sharing, people feel your energy. So normalize that in your body.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's so great. So great.
Amazing. Yeah. And the two strategies. So these are ones that I've just talked about. So normalizing success in your body, the tapping, the visualizing, I think that's a really powerful one. So, I do that with pricing too. So if I get the intuitive hit that I'm like, this is starting to feel a little heavy, I think it's time to raise my pricing, then I will actually connect to, okay, what price would feel good in my body? What has me feel expanded, maybe a little bit nervous? Then I use the tapping to normalize that price point in my body before I jump on a sales call, right? Because you
Mm.
don't want to say it out loud for the first time on a sales call. You want your body to be on board, because people can feel that. If you say the price and you're like, eek,
Mhm.
people are like, well, she doesn't feel confident. I don't think I feel
Uh-huh.
confident. So normalize success in your body by using that modality, tapping and visualizing what you want.
Love it. Love it. Love it. That's again the fire. The fire.
Yes,
I love it.
I love it. Yes.
So one action item to pivot our lives forward.
Yeah. So the other part that I really like to connect to when we think about success in business is it's not only get your body on board with your price point, you have to deeply understand the value that you're bringing to every room you walk into. So this is
Mm.
something that I think people often overlook. And it's so interesting, because if we don't really connect to the value that we bring into the space, we're not going to price accordingly. People will feel that. Like, it's kind of like I always talk about, if someone's giving you something for free, like free toothpaste, and like, just take it. And you're like, their energy feels so off. You want your energy to be really in alignment with like, I'm so grateful that I can serve in this way. These breakthroughs that my clients have been so impactful. And so I always say an action item is, you can start with, make a list of 100 things you love about yourself. I can't tell you how many clients will be like, I'm stuck at 10. And I'm like, this is such an opportunity for growth. Like, I love this because this is such an opportunity for you to start to witness your magic, because we have to see it first before other people can really, really see it too. It's almost like they're mirroring what's within us. And if we're like, I'm not valuable, then they're like, something feels off here. I don't see the value in this. Versus if we're like, I know what I bring to the space, someone is going to have a massive transformation on the other side. They're like, whoa, they're leaning in. So it's either make a list of 100 things you love about yourself, or every day, maybe you do both. Every day at the end of the day, say, I'm proud of myself for, and then just start listing it out. It could be 2 things, 3 things. You might start doing 10 things, whatever it looks like. Every day, just start to notice the value you're bringing to your day and to the world around you.
Wow, I love that. The 100 list. And what am I proud of, right?
Yeah.
That's so fantastic.
I love it. Fire!
Woo, woo. Let's go. Let's go. I love this. This is so great. Love it, love it, love it. So, yeah, we're kind of nearing the end here, and I want to know more. Do you have any offers for our audience? And tell us about that.
Yeah. So I am so excited. So essentially anyone who's starting to say, like, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to scale to 6 figures and beyond, but you're like, there's something in the way, or you just want to tap more into your intuition to be able to build the thing that you want. Because I think sometimes we get the whisper, but we're like, is that me or is that someone else? It's hard for us sometimes to distinguish, was that an intuitive hit? So for someone who's looking to really expand their business success, impact more people, I have a mastermind that I'm actually doing a yearly scholarship for, which means you're going to get the full year for free. Yeah. And so I'm super excited to gift that to a lucky soul that I feel is going to be such a powerful addition to this space. It's called Transcendence. It's all about, starting to create your own version of heaven on earth. Like how do you deeply want to serve humanity? And let's allow you through that process to get paid abundantly for your gifts so that you can pay other people abundantly for theirs. This is how it's supposed to work. When we're paid abundantly, we pay other people abundantly, and it's this beautiful reciprocal process. And so for those that are like, I do want to take my business to the next level, I would really deeply invite you to apply for that. My team is actually going to be selecting the winner. And so it's just ChristinaDeering.com/scholarship. And Deering is Deering. And apply there and just have a really solid why, because my team is going to be looking at it. There's going to be lots of applicants. It's just going to be a week-long period where you can submit for that. So if you're listening to it now, submit today before life gets in the way, and really allow yourself to live in possibility that you could absolutely win this, because 100% if it's calling to you, lean in, let this be potentially that moment, your pivot now, allow yourself to fully lean in, and especially if you're feeling that expanded feeling in your body.
Wow. I love it. I'm like, I'm going to apply.
Yes,
That's fantastic.
We'd love to have you. Oh, amazing.
Do you have other like VIP sessions or coaching sessions, or what other things do you offer?
Yeah. So I do one-on-one coaching and healing, which I absolutely love. So of course, for those that are like, ooh, I want this to be highly personalized, I've got things that have been in the way of everything, like I really want you to hone in, tap into my Akashic records, all of these things. Absolutely. One-on-one, you can just simply shoot me a DM on Instagram. My handle is I am Christina Deering. So you could just shoot me a DM there. I would be so grateful to meet you as well. And then for those people that are like, I just want to hear more, I've got that podcast, You Unlimited. It's one of my favorite places to play. There's 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs that share how they built what they've built, and also how they stumbled and failed and what they learned. And it's a way for us to start to plug into their energy, start to get the cliff notes on like, what are ways to be more successful and what resonates with me. There's always a golden nugget, some sort of wisdom that you'll pick up from every episode. That is my intention. And it's such a powerful place, and I absolutely love it as well.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. I love it. Anything else you want to add? Questions that I didn't ask you that you want to add?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for holding this space. It's so powerful. And I think the more that we wake up to the fact that we were given these gifts, like the stuff that feels easy, we were given these gifts to give them away, right? Like we're not meant to just sing in the shower. I mean, beautiful. If you love it, please sing in the shower. I sing in the shower. But also, like, you're given this beautiful gift to give it back into humanity and to be paid abundantly for it, so that you can pay other people abundantly for the gifts. Doesn't that feel good to tip someone like $100 for something? Or, you know what I mean? Like when we can just start to lean into when I'm resourcing myself, I can say yes to the things that are in alignment with my soul. That's number one. I think the more that we can really open up to abundance, that allows us to say yes to everything that's in alignment with our soul. Think about all the spaces you would just say yes if money wasn't an option. Allow that to be your truth. And it absolutely can be. It's just about moving what's in the way.
I love it so much. Oh my gosh, this is so great. This is awesome.
I wish I had some. I want to take
one of the best episodes. I'm telling you, Christina, I love all that you're talking about. This is so true. I mean, just unlocking those limiting beliefs that we all have, right? That we all have, so that you can move forward, that you can pivot your life forward and live abundantly. I think that's what it's all about, and pay it forward too. Because it's so true. We all have gifts. We all have gifts in this life, in this universe, and it's all about serving others and giving back to others and using those gifts, right? Because a lot of times we don't see the gifts in ourselves a lot of times, or we think, oh, because it comes so easy, or it's so simple, or, no one, other people won't need that, or what have you. And those are gifts. If it comes easy to us, those are gifts for us, and we can share it with others. So I'm glad that you talked about that. So glad that you talked about it, and so grateful that you're here on our show. So grateful for you, Christina.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. I absolutely loved it. And for everyone that's tuning in, I'm just so grateful that they spent their most precious resource, their time, in this space. So just thank you to everyone who's tuning in.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here and watching our show. We're here every Tuesday, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. We want you to live your life abundantly. Pivot now. Change and shift your energy. Change and shift your energy. Change and shift your energy. Pivot